For most of you, it probably hasn't been so long that you don't remember your father, an uncle, or an older brother lifting you up on their shoulders and carrying you around. Do you remember feeling safe, strong? Did you feel like they had some kind of superpower, that they were a hero? Well, long before warning systems for hurricanes, we were on what I thought was one of our many regular fishing trips on Lake Houston, me and him. But this was no regular fishing trip. Hi, my name is Keith Andries, and I'm here with you as a classmate and the son of this year's inductee, Bill Andries, into the Hero Hall of Fame. Now, in order to be inducted into the Hero Hall of Fame, a person has to reflect a selfless nature when faced with a challenge that means putting others in front of themselves, not just once, but for their entire lives. I'm going to tell you a few things about Bill Andries, also known as Catfish Bill or Wild Bill, that will convince you to cast your vote for him into the Hero Hall of Fame. Like I was saying, it seemed like any other fishing trip in our small boat. That is, until he noticed across the lake some dark, angry clouds moving in our direction. Not wanting to scare me, he calmly reached over and pulled the rope to start the engine on the small outboard motor on the John boat. Yeah, that's right, you had to use a pull rope back then. Well, I thought we were finished fishing and that we were headed to the boat launch. I was probably 5 or 6 years old at the time, and I wasn't worried because I was with him. When he drove the boat up onto the sandy lake shore, instead of going to the boat launch, I wondered what we were doing. And he never told me of the danger we could be facing. He only said we would be going home through the woods today. I'm sure none of my classmates are old enough, for that matter, neither is our instructor, to remember what the surrounding areas of Lake Houston were like back then. So you can just imagine being dumped off in the middle of a national forest, miles from anything, and just start there. Now, the real story for me started when I tried to follow him into the woods. I couldn't do it. The briars and the vines and the underbrush were so thick, and I was so small, I couldn't push my way through, even with him going before me. So I know he was trying to get us out of danger and was probably in a hurry, but he noticed that I was struggling and having trouble, so he stopped. Before I knew it, he had lifted me up on his shoulders and began quickly carrying me through the woods, saying, "Watch your head," since there were still lots of limbs and branches I needed to dodge. And I mostly did. I didn't find out until many decades later why he took me this way, and I never understood how he found his way back to safety, but he did. You see, as a small boy who hunted and fished with his father all the time, it just seemed like maybe I'd been on another hunting trip, and that was my memory with him. And I had totally forgotten about the storms, or the boat for that matter. But there was a hurricane moving in. There are many stories of him helping others, like letting friends and family live with us in our home until they could get a home of their own. You would appreciate the gestures of kindness even more if you knew how poor we were back then. But he didn't care. They needed help, and he was there. Up until the night he left us, he was putting someone else ahead of his own needs. At 82 years old, suffering with heart failure, he refused to wake his wife to tell her he needed help, that he was in need and having trouble with chest pains, telling Mama later he didn't want to bother her, and when he finally did, it was too late. The last thing Bill did was to consider someone else's needs before his own. And in my book, that makes him a hero. For myself and many others along the way that Bill Andries has put on his shoulders, I'm pleased to present this year's inductee, Wild Bill Andries, into the Hero Hall of Fame. Thank you.